Hey there, everyone. Appreciate you joining me on this edition of Beyond the Forecast, which we broadcast every Thursday at this time. We are going to be talking about thunderstorm types today, and we'll go through some of the types that we have encountered the last several days and what we might experience not only tonight but also into tomorrow. So let's jump right into it. Today, we have seen more single-cell pulse type of storms. They go up quickly and then they fall apart, which I'll give you an example of on our actual radar system over the last several hours. Those single cells can turn into supercell thunderstorms, but that has a lot of intricate moving pieces to it, and those are usually the most dangerous storms we would ever talk about in a forecast. If you ever hear us say supercell thunderstorms are possible, that's where very large hail, tornadoes, damaging winds, and very heavy rain are a possibility. With our single cell pulse storms today, where they are very small, they really don't have that much organization, they can still bring small hail, gusty winds, heavy downpours, like we saw in a few communities, not only today, but the last couple of days. Then we have a squall line. So this is typically right along a cold front where the storms are lining up right along that front. That's what's keeping those storms going and that motion in the general direction of that cold front. Of course, you get the spin-up tornadoes, small hail, gusty winds, and also heavy downpours. And then we have a mesoscale convective system. So these are those multi-cell storms. They're storms that are becoming a line, essentially, but they're being aided by very strong heat and humidity, and they're able to keep themselves going well away from any of the boundaries that they popped up on. Usually they have that reservoir of heat and humidity that they start to kind of feed off of as they go further from west to east or, northwest to southeast, things like that. That's usually where those storms start to push on through. Today, you can see that our weather picture, we had storms that were single cell. You didn't really have too many of those clusters coming together. We also saw those storms go up quickly and then fall apart quickly. You can see some of those reds popping up, then they fall apart. Reds pop up, fall apart. They go into the green, which is just that stagnant, pure rainfall without any real thunder or lightning or heavier downpours and really no risk of stronger winds. But it doesn't mean that this is going to be the case with each thunderstorm event, because we really don't have a boundary that was going to pop up these storms and make sure they were a little bit more organized. And we really don't have the wind shear that would keep them organized. So the strengthening of the winds as you go up into the atmosphere can aid in that organization of the storm so that it's not growing and then falling apart just as quickly as it grows and becomes a mature thunderstorm. That just wasn't the case today. Our only boundary was actually a lake front, so winds came off of Lake Huron, and that's where that collision occurred right here, and those storms really didn't move a whole lot. They went up, and then they fell apart just as quickly. So that's why we did see some very heavy rainfall and the potential of flooding with those storms. Those winds are now coming strictly off of Lake Huron, giving us some cooler readings across the area. It did allow for the chillier temperatures to happen closer to Lake Huron. I mean, it's only 59 in Tawas City, and you compare that to 82 in Flint. So the further removed we are from that lake breeze, and also any rain-cooled air, because those that are at 70 in Saginaw, 73 in Alma, you've had some rain-cooled air giving you some of those chillier temperatures, while those at 68 in Bad Axe, 65 in Bay City, it's the wind coming off of Lake Huron giving us that big temperature range. And our high temperatures surely showed that today. Got all the way up to 88 in Flint, and then you go a few counties to the north, about a hour and a half, 2-hour drive to West Branch, and it's 66. So about a 22-degree difference because of that lake breeze and also the frontal boundary, which is back in our area, not only giving us the heat, but the high humidity. Dew point temperatures in low to mid-70s across the south. That boundary now, and I'll try and draw it as best as I can. Doesn't mean this is going to be as accurate as it would likely be, but that boundary is going to be right in through about here. And you can see to the south of that we have higher humidity, and we also had the higher heat. And then we have the cooler temperatures and the lower humidity off to the north. 58 for the dew point in Port Austin, 55 in Tawas City. And that's in that not bad to comfy category. And then you go into our southern communities around I-69, and we have dew points in the 70s where it's very tropical right now. Temperatures tonight with the occasional shower and storm continuing, and we'll show you that on Futurecast, timing it out. Those will be in the low to mid 60s to the north, and then upper 60s to around 70 across I-69. Because of the higher humidity, not going to allow for those temperatures to drop all that much for the rest of this evening. Any activity out there right now will continue to move away from the area, so most of our evening will be dry. Once we get around and after midnight, we are going to see some showers and storms returning as a wave heads just off to our north. Now, the afternoon and evening, so from about noon to 7 p.m., is where we are going to watch for additional showers and storms, and this is going to be along a cold front. We have a little bit better ingredients for maybe some multicellular storms. So that line, that complex of showers and storms instead of individual cells could be moving through, and that would give us a damaging wind threat as that system cruises on in. It's off into Canada by 7 p.m., and then we have dry conditions going into the weekend. Our severe weather risk is highest as you go towards I-69 and then into the thumb. Further off to the north and to the west, you're in the general thunderstorm risk. It does not mean you couldn't have strong to severe storms, but the timing of this front is what's going to give our southern and eastern communities the highest threat of damaging winds, a low chance at hail and flooding. Flooding is the low chance now with these storms because they are going to be moving quickly. It's going to be in and out instead of sitting over the same communities and cities and counties like it did today. We'll time that out. Actually, we just timed that out. But we are going to see quieter conditions this weekend, cooler, less humid into the day on Saturday, and then we're right back into the heat and humidity on Sunday up to around 90. I'll show you some of those heat index numbers the next few days. On Monday, we're seeing scattered storms at 84. Then we're cooler and drier once again Tuesday through Thursday. May only be in the 70s on Thursday as we approach the 4th of July holiday. I'm going to show you right now some of those heat index numbers that we will be going through the next few days. So we're going to start things out here as we look into our Friday. You can see some of those heat index numbers between about 90 and 95 potentially during the afternoon to early evening. We cool things down. Heat index numbers not as bad on Saturday, lower 80s. And then as we go into our Sunday, again, mid-90s possibly. You know, it is going to be a very hot day on Sunday where we get up to around 90, high humidity. We'll push some of those heat index numbers to about 95 or so for a lot of us. And we will be seeing winds coming out of the southwest, which will mean all of us will be getting in on some of the heat unless you are right to the north of the Saginaw Bay. That's where some of those 80s will still be occurring with some slightly cooler temperatures. Now, not likely going to see a heat advisory because you can see the criteria needed for a heat advisory across our area is 100 degrees. That's where the heat index needs to be for a heat advisory, so not likely going to have a heat advisory issued, even though it will be hot, muggy, uncomfortable on Friday and Sunday. Still humidity on Monday, but we're going to be cooling things on down. Monday is also where we're going to have to watch for the risk of strong to severe storms. As of right now, we're just keeping an eye on tomorrow for that risk. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for us on this edition of Beyond the Forecast. Tomorrow, noon to 7 is when we're going to be watching for the potential of strong to severe storms. We're quiet for the weekend, then another round of storms Monday, quiet for most of next week. As we get closer to the 4th of July, we'll give you that extended forecast at that point in time. 4th of July happens on a Friday this year, so we're going to have a long weekend ahead to get out and enjoy it. I appreciate you guys joining me every Thursday at this time. We'll be back, not next Thursday, because I will be off for the holiday, but the following Thursday. Hope you guys join me then. Take care.